My mother had many rituals around cooking. One of the biggest ones was her obsession with closing the kitchen doors. The kitchen was practically hermetically sealed while she was cooking, and we had not one, but 2 kitchen fans to vent the fumes of onions, cilantro, and garam masala. Should anyone walk into the kitchen when she was at work, she would bark, "Close the door, the whole house will smell." And then came the obsessive hand washing and perfume dousing that was as ritualized as the way that garlic cloves and jeera seeds were pounded together in a mortar and pestle. Close the doors, wash away and cover any evidence so that we never smelled like our food. After cooking, my mother was a hovering cloud of Versace perfume, like Pigpen walked through the cosmetics section at Macy's. I've worked too hard to get to where I am. I cannot walk around the hospital smelling like Indian food. You should see the way people look at me. Throughout my childhood, my physician mother often complained about the unfair on-call schedules created by her white male colleagues. Somehow, she always ended up working on major holidays. Yes, we had a lot of Chinese takeout on Thanksgiving. I tried to get them to change the schedule, but they made some excuse and I wound up on call again. I told them, everyone's a chief here and I'm the only Indian. As a teenager, I would roll my eyes and respond, "Mom, that's even the wrong kind of racism." And she muttered, "Right, like there's a right kind?" But she liked that joke, and she said it on more than one occasion. Once, I remember asking her, "Why do you always take everything that way and make everything about race?" And she looked straight at me and said, "Because it is. What do you think I've had to work against all these years?" Growing up, I was always asked a lot of questions. What are you? Are you black or white? In fact, one of my earliest childhood memories is hearing that question and looking down at my arm and responding, "I'm brown." "Why don't you speak Indian? Do you celebrate Christmas?" "Oh, you don't? Oh, so Hanukkah? What, so you don't celebrate anything?" My mom heard that last interchange once and she piped in, "Well, in India we celebrated many holidays and festivals." And I rolled my eyes in frustration because no one really cared about India. They just wanted to figure out exactly how to judge us. When I was younger, I was convinced that my mom really just needed to chill out about the race thing. She didn't always need to take everything that way. I thought that because I didn't speak with an accent and I knew what clothes to wear, I could blend in by rolling my eyes and rejecting the very concept that race matters. It seemed much cooler and easier, honestly, to just act like I was over it. But little did I know that no matter how much I said that my mother's food was gross, how much I made fun of her accent, and how much I tried to shun any brownness, both my mother and I would always be identified as other and therefore public property and subject to questions, judgment, and shame. There was always something to explain. "Oh, you are so exotic. What does that dot mean?" Something to prove. "Oh, so are you actually American?" Or something to be ashamed of, like our smelly food or weird god statues. Yes, you can call them idols. Sidestepping these inevitable and relentless landmines of racism and judgment, from the benign to the ignorant to the barely thinly veiled, is an exhausting feat. Tightrope walk with a side of Ganesh and turmeric, anyone? So, like my mother did, I learned to show people what they're comfortable seeing and hide what they're not. Hide what will bring us shame and what will undo everything we have done to get to where we are, amidst rules we didn't create and can't control and are constantly changing depending on just how close we get to where you are. Looking back now, I can see that that's the line my mom had to walk. Sometimes we smile and nod and decide to be as normal as possible, and remember that in order to get along and dodge judgment, we have to pass. No, we could never pass like that. I mean, look at us, we're brown. But pass in terms of accepting our place, emulating just enough, but not too much of the dominant paradigm, and not appearing too angry. And it's hard not to be visibly angry. I mean, the same people who said my mom's food smelled gross now buy artisanal ghee at Whole Foods for $20. They throw around and namaste, and forget that they ever made fun of the religious music my mom listened to in the kitchen. And for the record, namaste means hello, as in hello. Not, I'm finding my Lululemon spiritual center. Because any minute, even now, the minefield erupts, and I find myself responding to, "Where are you from? Were you born here? Or is she yours?" referring to my olive-skinned daughter. It is a luxury to never have to think about race, because just when I stop thinking about it, I am blindsided by it. And when you're a parent, your kids watch your every move and ask questions. Why did that lady ask where you're from? And why did you say the F word when we walked away from her? Because this is what parenting, existing while brown, looks like, even 30 years later and in our progressive bubble of a community. No, I don't have to work as hard as my mother did to get to where I want to be. Smelling like garlic and cumin doesn't elicit automatic professional ostracization. And thankfully, nobody's making bad jokes about chiefs and Indians. But my mother was right. I was naive to roll my eyes and blame her for taking everything that way. My mother recently retired after practicing medicine in the same Connecticut town for over 40 years. One of her patients, upon hearing she was about to retire, smiled and asked, "Oh, are you going to go home now?" Filing through the various possible responses, the explanation, the historical context, the witty retorts, and the unbridled anger, my mother simply smiled and said, "Yes, I am. This is my home."